Welcome everybody to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I am Josh Fenton. We're here talking small biz every Monday. I want to welcome everybody in after a busy weekend of everything from Quonset Air Show to Gatsby Day parades and Prov Fest and everything else that went on in Rhode Island. I think it was kind of the perfect Rhode Island weekend of everybody out doing something. I want to invite Peter here, Peter Kaczmarek, over from MPC, a cool company in Rhode Island, which I got to tell you, not many companies in Rhode Island I haven't heard of before. You are one of them. And wildly interesting manufacturer, making just a plethora of different products for all different applications. Talk a little bit, give a little overview of what you guys are doing.
Great, thank you. Thanks for having us here. Yeah, not that many people know about MPC, which stands for Methane Products Corporation, but we've been around for 52 years here in Rhode Island, and we are a custom manufacturer of components that go into a wide variety of machines and other applications using a very unique polymer technology that we helped to pioneer almost 50 years ago.
He brought his little toolkit of all the cool things that they make. Nothing better than, let's start at the height of grandiose product making, the Olympics.
Yeah.
Give us a show there.
Yeah, so we have a line of products, a technology that's patented for making inline skate wheels. Not the recreational kind, but the kind that are used by professional inline racers. And we have a great following in Korea, including one of our largest distributors. And when the Olympics was getting ramped up, he said, hey, we would love it if you would make us a special set of wheels for the skaters to use during the closing ceremonies. And so we made this fluorescent green wheel. And if you watched the closing ceremonies, you would have seen it almost looked like their feet were glowing because of the wheels. And they are one of our largest markets for our large skate wheels, which are used by the professional racers worldwide. Korea happens to be a hotbed of competition, and
how's North Korea? Just trying to stay in the moment.
Well, we haven't gotten too many customers there yet, but you never know.
Never know. President Trump and Dennis Rodman could be bringing the technology of MPC over to North Korea right now.
That's right, so even though we're a relatively small company and, as you said, not well known, we are very well known among the international racing, inline racing world. The MPC wheel is considered the fastest and best wheel in the world.
That's great. Super cool. Very, very light. And it feels like a plastic.
Yeah.
But its performance is just...
Yeah, so the secret is inside the wheel is a really bouncy version of our polyurethane technology.
Gotcha.
So you remember Super Balls, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the Super Ball is a polyurethane, and so inside this wheel, which is kind of tough on the outside, is a really high rebound material that kind of makes it feel like you've got springs on your legs when you're using them. And that patent and that technology is what causes people to want to use our wheels.
That's great. Talk about some of the other applications.
Yeah, so as exciting as the wheels are, and kind of the most interesting thing, it is a minority of what we do at Methane Products. We actually make a wide variety of components for machines to make the machines safer and more reliable. And for example, every nuclear submarine, of which we make a lot of here in Rhode Island, uses some of our patented material to protect the cooling systems, which are critical in a nuclear submarine. So this green material almost feels like a metal, and
it does.
It's impregnated with graphite, which makes it tougher and more reliable. And it's been used in nuclear submarines since 1970.
That's great.
And continues to be used.
And you have a lot of patents. I mean, this is not a one patent company. You've got about 15 or 20.
Yeah, our claim to fame, we feel, is that even though we're a relatively small company and the polyurethane universe is huge, we are innovators,
Yeah.
and we devote a lot of our time and our resources to R&D, which is why large corporations tend to come to us when they have a problem using rubber or some other material.
And talk about it. How many customers do you guys have?
We have about 200 active customers, and as I said, they tend to be companies that are a lot bigger than we are.
Sure.
You know, companies like Xerox and Hewlett-Packard and Kodak and National Cash Register and General Dynamics. I mean, these are all huge corporations, but they know us for our polymer technology, and they come to us when they have a problem they can't solve.
Great. Walk us through a couple more.
Yeah, so everybody, I think, uses ATMs to deposit money and to deposit checks and such and to get money out. And
I still go to the saving and loan. Just out of loyalty, and I've always hated
just
Mr.
to see
Potter.
a live face, right?
Right.
And be rejected for a loan. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
So ATMs have become very sophisticated over time, and now you can put in a whole stack of checks and bills, and it has to sort them and give you back the ones that you want to take back. And so the ATM makers have turned to us to say we need a component that has a very reliable level of grip, what we call coefficient of friction, such that when they stick that stack of checks in, it'll take them one at a time.
So you really don't call it grip, you call it coefficient?
We have to be a little bit more technical. But we make a number of components, very specialized components for ATMs for that very reason. And so you might be using an ATM that has a urethane product in it, any time of day.
You mentioned before we came on that you guys are up to about 75 employees.
Yeah.
And what's been the growth pattern and what's been fueling the growth?
Well, in the 2007-2008 recession, a lot of manufacturing left New England and Rhode Island in particular permanently. And urethane took a hit at that time.
I'm sure.
But we reinvented ourselves as a specialty formulator of materials and a problem solver. And so we hung in there, we focused our business on being that partner to machine makers and large OEMs, and gradually we built our reputation back up. And today we're growing nicely. We grew more than 10% last year. Our wheels business is actually growing as well as we've gained fame, and the sport has gained popularity around the world. So, but in addition, we've recently made 2 acquisitions. We acquired 2 other small Rhode Island companies, one in Bristol, Rhode Island, and one in Newport. And these companies give us the capability to not only make the polymer, but also to make the metal components that often go with these parts. And so now we're a one-stop shop. And we enjoy the fact that we are helping to build Rhode Island manufacturing by making this type of acquisition.
So is that vertical integration that, because of those acquisitions, been able you to spawn more products?
Absolutely.
And are you also able to now start to cross-sell within those 200 relationships?
You read our strategic plan, didn't you, Josh?
Just a wild guess.
No, that's exactly, those 2 things were exactly the reason that we did these acquisitions. One is now we can make ourselves more vertically integrated, which means we can move more quickly. We can offer a lower total cost to our customers, but also the 2 companies we purchased are very active in the defense side of things where we would like to grow. So now we can expose ourselves to our products and our capabilities to large OEMs in the defense space as well.
And is the infrastructure, we hear a lot about the defense industry, especially out of Aquidneck Island, working with especially the Navy down there. Is that infrastructure helping you guys between what's going on down there and what Commerce is doing? Is that able to kind of get you in front of the right people for purposes of procurement?
Absolutely. We recently joined Synetia,
The big Newport defense industry kind of trade association.
Exactly.
Of those, yeah.
And it's been fantastic. It's introduced us to a lot of key decision makers in the spaces that we're trying to get into. But even more importantly, they tend to provide a forum for networking that is something we didn't even know about a few years ago.
That's great.
So yes, and you know, I think it's overall excellent for the Rhode Island economy that we're able to focus on these technologies, and the state, I believe, is helping out.
And then you've gotten some innovation grants?
We have.
It's kind of like the mini DARPA of Rhode Island?
Yeah, it's a program, again, that was, I think, under-publicized, and we learned about it about a year ago through Commerce RI. And it's a grant that allows you to focus innovation that for a small company you may just not have the wherewithal to do by yourself. So we proposed and were awarded an innovation grant around totally rethinking the manufacturing process for the products that you see here. This orange foam we call Durethane F. It's our own formulation. It's a proprietary material. And this will allow us to really expand the market for this material, which is a very unique electrically conductive polyurethane foam.
Is this a similar product?
Yes, that's exactly the same type of material.
Obviously, you don't get the sense of touch and feel as we get here in the studio, but every product is so remarkably different in texture and performance and application.
And yet, they're all based on the same polyurethane chemistry. So I don't know if this will go well or not, but we use a demo to show people what the technology can do. These two balls were both formulated and molded in our plant in the same place, and you can see the difference in the performance. One is a very dead material, and the other is very bouncy and has a high rebound. They're both polyurethanes, and they're both in our toolkit.
And what do you see the future? I mean, 10% growth, you're starting to expand your product lines, you're getting focused on the defense industry, you're making key acquisitions, you're getting vertical in your construct. What's next?
Well, we are continuing to try to reach out to more and more customers. We're very active in social media. We recently really expanded our web presence. Because that's how people tend to find us. You know, we don't have this huge sales force going all over to get new customers. We intend to continue to do small, targeted, strategic acquisitions. Love to do them in Rhode Island, where it's a very friendly business community, and to continue to grow here. We're also developing a few new technologies. You mentioned our patents earlier. One of the patents is around making polyurethanes electrically conductive.
Oh, wow.
Which means it dissipates static,
sure,
which is something that usually rubber-like materials don't do very well. So this is a very unique technology, and we're starting to work with an outside company to help us take that to the next level as well.
That's great.
So lot on the plate.
Well, listen, I thank you for coming in.
It's been my pleasure.
Love the education, love the technology. Who else should we make sure hears about this? Other manufacturers, other producers, other thinkers, and what's your biggest challenge?
Okay. Well, the biggest challenge really is getting ourselves known.
Yeah.
You know, as a relatively small company. So things like this, you know,
John, we took care of known.
We're glad to do it. Industrial designers are our target audience. Right. So we started working with Rhode Island School of Design, their industrial design department, because those are our customers of the future.
Absolutely.
We developed this design kit with some help from the Commerce RI grant.
Oh, that's great.
That we can send to designers, and they'll have things to play with. Everybody wants to have something that they can touch and feel before they make a design decision. So I think that's our largest challenge, is just, you know, really trying to get ourselves better known worldwide. I think I may have mentioned to you, we tend to try to go on the Commerce RI international trade missions. We're going on our 7th one in September to the Scotland and the northern part of England.
That's great.
And again, it's to spread the word among industrial design houses of our
And have those trade missions paid off?
Very much so.
Yeah, that's
very
great.
much so. Yeah, we've gotten at least $1 million of additional revenue over time.
Well, that's great.
Through contacts that we've made in those trade missions.
That's great news. Peter, thanks so much for coming on. We're going to be right back in a second with another focus on small business in Rhode Island. Hang on one second. We'll be back in about 30 seconds.
Thank you.
We are back. Thanks everybody for tuning in today. We're talking small business. Jill here's over at Commerce. Jill, talk us a little bit. You got a big announcement this afternoon on Wavemakers, right?
It's more like a reminder.
More like a reminder.
We are accepting applications for the 2018 cohort of Wavemaker Fellows, and our deadline is this Friday. So we want to make sure that the word gets out, that the opportunity is out there.
So let's go through nice and slow.
Yeah.
What is the opportunity? What is the program?
What is the program? High level. It is an incentive that was designed by the governor and her staff to keep talent here in Rhode Island. We found that people are graduating from our world-class colleges and universities, and they were leaving. They
Second
were
highest DMA in the country to lose its college graduates.
Yeah.
About 70% pack up and leave.
Yeah, so they up and leave, they go get a job somewhere else, or they start their business somewhere else, and we didn't want that to happen anymore.
Right.
And they're saddled with some of the highest student loan debt averages in the country, so they have over $30,000 of student loan debt. And when
On average, a graduate of one of the universities here
Yes.
has $30,000 in loans.
Yep. Which is a lot of money
It is
for
a
anybody,
lot of money, right.
especially a 20-something who has no idea what to do with their life.
Yep.
Trying to figure out how to adult is not easy when you have $30,000 on your shoulder. And then companies that were here were saying, hey, we need access to this talent. We need to keep the talent pipeline growing in these key industries, which are STEM and design. So science, technology, engineering, and math, and design careers is what the Wavemaker Fellowship focuses on. So quite simply, it provides a refundable tax credit worth up to $6,000 a year to the fellows who are participating to help them offset the cost of their student loans. So they can earn up to $6,000 depending on their degree level that they can either take as a credit towards their taxes or as a check.
Gotcha. And talk about, when did the program start?
Yeah, in 2015, the program was enacted, and since then we've had 2 cohorts of fellows. So we've accepted
Cohorts, I don't know these fancy words. Is
Groups.
it 2 groups, 2 classes?
Annual awardees, yeah, if you will.
Got
Yes,
it.
2 classes.
You folks over at Commerce have this
And
whole
our big words.
jargon way above
So 2
us.
groups.
Okay.
2 classes.
And how many were in each of the cohorts? I'm
going
liking
to go
this.
with groups. I'm just
Okay, you're going with
stay
groups,
there.
and I've
Yeah,
advanced
the
my
groups.
language over to cohorts.
We had about 200, a little over 200 in each. So we're floating at above 400 Wavemaker Fellows that are out there at about 170 different companies throughout the state, actually, representing all sorts of industries, everyone from accounting firms to engineering firms to healthcare practitioners and everything in between.
That's great. And who's eligible? Can anyone, if they meet that design or within the sciences, STEM, can they apply for this?
Solid maybe. So maybe. If you're working for a company in Rhode Island, so checkbox number 1, you're working for a company in Rhode Island in a STEM or design field, so you're checking that box too, and you have student loan debt that you're actively paying back. So if you're lucky enough to not have student loan debt, you unfortunately cannot be a part of the Wavemaker Fellowship Program.
Okay.
But if you're one of the majority, you're eligible. So those are the 3 things you need to check off in order to apply.
And have we seen any, I know it's early with only 2 cohorts, have we seen any measurable impact on what it's doing to help retain talent coming out of Rhode Island colleges and universities? Yeah,
I mean, almost 60% of the fellowship cohort, groups, the fellowship groups represent graduates from Rhode Island institutions, but not all of them. So we take anybody that graduated from any college or university that's working here in Rhode Island. So that 60% is a pretty good number to have. In addition to the money, so getting to your point as to the measurable success, I would say, yes, it's early, but in addition to the money, it's my job to put on programs for those people. So we've been offering personal and professional development seminars, home buying workshops, financial well-being workshops, getting back to that 20-somethings don't always know how to manage their money the best way. And a lot of engagement events, social events. I mean, if they're not your family, your friends, or your coworkers, how the heck do you meet new people? We make that possible. So we actually have an event tonight that's aimed at networking and celebrating the success of the Wavemaker Fellowship Program thus far. Anecdotally, I'll share, there's been a couple of instances where we had a fellow who was offered a position at the corporate headquarters of their company in Massachusetts, and they turned it down, because they wanted to stay in Rhode Island. They're from Rhode Island. They want to keep their roots here. We also have a fellow who is considering 2 jobs. She had gone to school in Florida. She was considering 2 job offers down in Florida, 1 job offer up here in Rhode Island. She took the job offer up here in Rhode Island with the Wavemaker Fellowship, and she's still here, still working at that company. So I would say yes.
Yeah, right. And then talk a little bit about the different levels. If you've got an associate degree, you're eligible for
$1,000.
And if you're an if you've got a bachelor's, it's $4,000.
Correct.
And then for a graduate degree,
$6,000.
$6,000.
Yeah. So the calculation
is it a one-time,
No.
1 year? It's multiple years.
Yes. You can earn that credit for up to 4 years.
So you could knock off $16,000 if you get a bachelor's and you were staying in Rhode Island.
Correct.
And you was like, that's just very significant.
It is very significant, yeah, and it's based on what you're actually paying. So if I am a student and I'm paying $200 a month towards my student loans, because that's what they're telling me, my total at the end of the year is going to be $2,400. I match that $2,400 as commerce, and you get that in a refundable tax credit. So in most cases, we see a lot of our fellows maxing out at the caps that we have in place, because unfortunately payments are $600, $700 a month, which is sometimes what limits you from moving out of your parents' basement, sometimes what limits you in getting your own car. So that amount of money back to you at the end of the year, either in a credit or in a check, is huge.
And then is there a limit to the number that you can award, a number of fellowships on an annualized basis? I know you've given out approximately 200 per. Could you go to 400 per?
Yeah, it's a big math equation.
Gotcha.
I was never very good at math, but I'm learning to be. So we do get funded through the General Assembly. The budget that's passed every year is what comes to us. We have a fellowship committee that then looks at that budget, looks at the applications, and kind of figures out exactly how we want to parse it out. So, for instance, the 2017 group was awarded at the levels that they submitted in their applications. They were awarded for, promise you, 2 years.
Gotcha.
Could be 4.
Excellent.
Depending on what the General Assembly is funneling to the program.
And in this year's budget, I believe the speaker said on late Friday night that the program was being level funded.
Correct. I got a lot of text messages.
Yes.
Late Friday night.
Yes.
We secured an additional $1.6 million for the program moving forward, and no sunsets. So
And let me just tell you, I was there on Friday night at 11 o'clock. Speaker Mattiello is just the cheeriest person you ever want to hang out with on a Friday evening. Oh my God, what a bundle of joy. Let's talk a little bit about, is there thoughts about other applications, ways to expand this, ways to transform it to be able to touch more students and keep more folks in Rhode Island?
Yeah, I mean, I think the industries that were selected very intentionally. I'm sure you're no stranger to the Brookings report.
Yep, sure.
So the industries that are called out in there, biomedical innovation, defense, IT, cyber, those are really the high growth, high opportunity areas for Rhode Island. So that's really where we're focusing our space, or our funding, I guess, and our resources, and design. Obviously,
Right.
we're the creative capital. We want to keep it that way. We have a lot of really great talent in those spaces. I would always say more money would be great. More money, more people, more time, all of that jazz. But for now, I think those are the key sectors, because that's really the most promising future that Rhode Island has in terms of economic growth exponentially.
Right. Any things you want to fix about the program? Have there been any weaknesses? Do you think enough people know about it?
No,
Yeah.
I don't. And I've been at Commerce for about a year, so
Right.
it's my job to
Where'd you
make
come
more
from?
people know. I actually used to work at BJ's Wholesale Club.
BJ Wholesale?
Yeah,
Are you
so
from Rhode Island?
I am from Rhode Island,
And
and
are you
I
a-
commuted to Massachusetts for 5 years, and I hated it, so I came back.
And are you a member of are you a fellow of the Wavemakers program?
I wish.
Yeah,
I wish.
yeah.
I don't do anything in science.
Gotcha.
I could use it, though.
you're
My
helping
student loans
people
are
in
certainly
science.
there.
Yeah, that's great.
My student loans are certainly an issue.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on. Good luck with the event tonight. We're going to try and spread the word and get it out to more
Thank you.
folks. It's a smart program. Obviously, Rhode Island has a huge, we had the story about a month ago, last 3 weeks or so, about Providence DMA, Providence Warwick Fall River, being the second highest in the country of losing its college grads, going elsewhere. And I think part of it is so many folks are going up to Boston because of the robust job market, and we need to recreate that here to become as
And we're on the way, I
Yeah.
think. I think we're on the way in terms of a bustling focal point here in Providence. And more wave makers.
Great, more wave makers. We're going to be right back. Stay right here. We're going to be right back at the 4 o'clock hour. We've got Gary Sass, the money man, cha-ching, talking about the budget, and then we're talking innovation with Business Innovation Factory, Saul Kaplan, two of my favorites every week. We'll see you back at 4 o'clock. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to Small Biz on the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center and our friends over at Commerce RI. Thank you.